Fresh Talks Global Vision. We are back. As I always say, hashtag speaker locking arms. We are here locking arms, trying and giving ourselves the experience of being able to lock arms to see how can our day be different if we just all step together and kind of play with this. This mindset area, this area where you feel like there's something bigger in this life than just like waking up and doing your to-dos and all that kind of boring stuff, but more about that you feel it in your heart. You just feel like you're a gem and you want to sparkle. And that isn't just for you. That's why it's not embarrassing. At first I read this little sparkle kind of like, be afraid to sparkle, but you're not afraid because it's for everybody else. And I was like, what? But then I started getting into it more and I was like, wow. So I want to bring you another expert today so that we can give you mindset transformation entertainment. So you sparkle, so everybody out there gets this. It's not one person. There is not one superstar. So if I call Melissa Tori a superstar, I'm not just talking to her. I'm talking to you too, because that is what we are. When you stand up and you sparkle and you have that energy, it means you're in alignment. It means you're opening up your voice. This is what Fresh Talks Global Vision is about. I appreciate you. I love you. And I really want to get down into this great stuff as we're going to be talking to Melissa Tori about being a life coach. What's her experience out there and what she's seeing? And just like when you take a step back and you start looking at the bigger things that are happening in this world, I think we need more people like her and more people like me that are interviewing that really hold a safe stage. I really care about that. Melissa, life coach extraordinaire, welcome in. And I'm happy to have you here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me today.
I'm so happy you're here. Can you share with me a bit about why did you lean in towards life coaching? What is it in your life that you feel like, wow, this is because it's a haul to to pay the money, get into it, and really know like there's a reason why you're doing all that. So what is it in you, or what's your deal about life coaching?
So for me, it really was about having a true level of dissatisfaction with my own personal life and being in quite a low place. And the short story of why did I become a life coach was because the people who stood by me and helped me in my own transformation made me want to help pay it forward and help the same people who helped me even more. I've always been the helper, the caregiver, the one everyone came to, whether it was within family, professionally, friend circles. I've always been that one. And when I really started having my own true transformation and my life was truly transforming, I was like, I can help people do the same thing. And I want to help people do the same thing, because if no one helped me, I'd still be miserable and I'd still be stuck back there a decade ago. And it's all about growth.
So they opened a light for you. And Melissa, you said you did everything for everybody else, kind of like, not everything, I shouldn't get so extreme, but what's interesting is I remember when I transitioned from corporate into, a lifestyle like this, but nobody helped me. You know why? Because I didn't let them. I was so driven by ego. If I was softer, it'd be a different experience. So I feel softness in you, like that you are open for the experiences and what's going to happen next. So with being in that space, it must be wonderful to be with you as people are learning about their life. Can you share more about what you do as a life coach?
I go deep. I go deep, and sometimes people, they don't like it, but that's where the magic happens. We can very very easily, journal your thoughts, or what are 3 things you're grateful for every day, and that's part of it, absolutely. And it's a start, and it's actually something that I do have with the clients I work with, and the people who employ some of those things get quicker results, if you will. But it's digging deep into what is keeping you stuck, what is keeping you putting everyone else in front of you. So just because we might have family obligations or jobs or whatever, all these responsibilities that are over here, it doesn't mean that we have to be down further or lower on the list. We can have like a number one and a number 1A to make sure that we're still a priority within what we're doing.
Yeah, I used to, I don't know if you had this mindset, but I think this would be good for the audience to think about. Like, I used to think, well, I have no time for anybody. I have no time for myself. But I mean, I was doing stuff. I was going and working out, and I was going and doing what, like, if I would go get an ice cream, I would stop and go get an ice cream. You know what I mean? Like, I would do these things, but in our mind, I could see how, excuse me, my dogs are barking. I could see, they are my business coaches.
Mine's in the other room, but yes.
Well, there must be a kitty out there or something, you know. But it's interesting what you're saying. I think we need to go here because there's people that will teeter on, I want change. I want this to happen because it's scary staying in the space of being not very happy. But then that shift, and that's so vulnerable. And sometimes we don't realize that. And I know I've been doing this for a while, so I feel comfortable with it, but not really. I mean, sometimes I just go dig myself in a hole, and I just like, oh my gosh, what's the next thing I have to do? Because I can't even step forward. But for a lot of the times, the skills that you have and what we're talking about here is that sometimes people go down and they don't want to get up because they're afraid. They're used to that cycle of going down. So I can see that why that would be a challenge. For our audience, can you share what would be some of the things that you notice that they say that why they don't want to lift themselves up? And they don't say it that way, but you know what I mean? When you're challenging them and they're like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be therapy, you know, that people say all crazy things. But what is it that you're noticing?
Bluntly, excuses, and getting them to realize that it's an excuse. Because if you can make time to go get ice cream, to use your example, or to, you know, I have a lot of clients who also work with me on their weight because I've lost a significant amount of weight, and it's about, I call it penciling in or using the schedule. I'm very calendar conscious about what I do, and if it sounds silly to say schedule in a 15-minute walk just by yourself around the block. If that's all you can do at the end of the day, schedule 15 minutes as soon as you're done with dinner. And then, you know, they'll go, oh, but I have to do the dishes. No one else will do the dishes if I don't do the dishes. And I'm like, well, then the dishes can sit for 15 minutes. It's 15 minutes.
So it's like they're at the beginning of their journey too. And that's when you hear like easy excuses, you can catch it. And some people will, you know, like if they've been doing it for a while, you're like, oh, I hear you. You know, like everybody has excuses. You'll find that. But so when you're at the beginning, you're like, oh, everybody just doesn't help me. I do this. So it's almost as if like what we were talking about earlier is that you think you're supposed to be doing everything. Like nobody else will do it. So it's almost like control. And I could see, Melissa, I don't know if you've had this issue, but maybe your clients coming in that they want to control everything. And tell me if I'm accurate, keep adding into that also. And so it's difficult. And it could be from back stuff that's going to come up as you move forward. Not that you're therapying them, but you're able to coach them. And so they just want to control. So you're learning those ins and outs and the ways to really get in there and tap in there to make sure that they're safe as they make that 15-minute walk and journaling and doing those things. So is it control? Is it like, what are you seeing that when you're working with your clients that you can kind of start opening them up so they can see those people that are ready to move forward?
It is absolutely a level of control, in my opinion, but it goes deeper than that because it does go, at least with my clients, it always goes back to something in childhood. It stems from childhood. And sometimes people who are in a tremendous amount of pain, it's controlling what they know. It's the chaos they know versus the chaos they don't know, or it's the pain they know versus the pain that they don't know. So even though they're super low and they're in this rut and this is where they are and they know they need more and that they want this help, it's still really super scary over here. What does this look like? What do you mean if I go for 15 minutes? What's going to happen in that 15 minutes?
Yeah. Is it worth it? Am I going to get results? Well, you said you lost as much weight. Well, 15 minutes, is 15 minutes long enough? Is that really a workout? Like, I hear what you're saying.
Right.
You're there because you're a very gentle spirit. I can feel it. So what you're doing is basically just creating a safe space for them
Yes.
so that
And
they
just getting them to start. 15 minutes is just a start. So whether it's to clear your mind, to shake off the day, have time to yourself, whatever it might be, 15 minutes is the start of building a habit to beginning that self-care, which ultimately leads to the self-love and the self-worth that will be discovered if you follow the path.
I think this is a great point to go into. It's about when did you determine that you had that in you about that I've been gaining weight and it's my time to lose weight. When was that? What was that pivot? What did it look like? And there might have been a few, but one that you think of today to help people, because this doesn't have to be about weight loss. I mean, that could tether on anything where they're stuck. What was it for you that you're like, okay, I'm going to lose 100+ pounds, but maybe you didn't know that. You just knew there was something that was revving up. What was that?
I was in a super dark place, and very honestly, I hated everything about myself, my life. There was nothing that brought me joy other than my dog. So the epiphany actually happened the day after Christmas when I was sitting alone in my condo, eating a half a gallon of ice cream straight out of the carton, pouring chocolate syrup on top of it, weighing 320 something pounds, 10:30 in the morning with a spoon, by myself, because I was on my own at that point, and I had been for quite some time. And I just, spoon in hand, this is a pen, but spoon in hand, I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What? It hit me like a ton of bricks fell on top of me. And then funny enough, what's our next fail safe, right? Social media. So I went over to Instagram and I was scrolling and it popped up in my feed, someone that had lost 180 pounds naturally, because I was always like, I have so much weight to lose. There's no point. It's impossible. All the excuses we tell ourselves, the limiting beliefs we put in there. And I saw this young woman and I was like, well, if she can do it, I can do it. And that day I put the rest of the ice cream down the sink, stopped eating it. I was working with a coach and it was my probably third, fourth, fifth time going, okay, this is it. This is the time. This is it. That was the time. And I got serious about it. And baby steps, 15-minute walks. And I actually started with walking around my condo because I was so out of shape. I couldn't even really go for a walk.
Yeah.
So when I share with my clients, I've been where you are. It's not about me, but I've been where you are. I know that struggle. So it's hard for them to say you don't understand, because I do. But I'm here for them, because if that particular coach had not stood by my side and lifted me when I fell and, I had a bag of chips again or whatever it might have been, and whatever that was, had she not been there for me, that would not have given me that safe space.
Wow.
To continue to move forward in that journey. And it took a while before I even started digging into the layers and layers and layers and layers of garbage that was on top of the just getting control of why I was eating so much food. But that was my issue. That's not everyone's issue. But it's universal, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Self-loathing, it all comes from somewhere.
Yeah. I'm a health coach and I've been doing this for about 15 years, and it's you really light up my life today because you're being very honest, and I like how you're talking about, because sometimes we don't talk about this enough, is you're going to want to and have to face your past stuff, and it's going to come up. It's not like, I'm going to put you in a chair and say, tell me about this and this and this about your life.
Right.
Those things are going to come up, and are you ready for it? Because it's painful, but how much pain are you sitting in right now to where you're going to have pain, but then you're going to pain and sparkle, and you're going to get comfortable with that raw feeling. I like the word you use, and I actually have it up here because I have some plaques that I created, and there's one word, like phrase, that I really like. You said fail safe. Can we dig into that? Did you mean to say that? Like, what does that mean? Because it means something to me. And when you're talking about that, like, what does that mean? Because I feel like I'm going to fail, but it's like fail safe. What does that mean? How are you using that? Because I think that's pretty special, like a
For
dichotomy almost.
yeah, for me at the time, it was really tough, and there was a lot of failure at the beginning of the journey, especially like that, because very honestly, it was like, oh, if I lose 100 pounds, everything will be better. That's going to make all of my problems in life disappear. Side note, it will not. The healing will, but absolutely losing the weight is not. That's, you know,
We can't
the,
just do a diet, huh, Melissa?
the health benefits and looking better. That's just the side benefit to healing the insides. But so many times I would, and it's a cycle, right? We beat ourselves up because, oh, I did so well for 2 weeks, and then I went and I had an ice cream cone, and then it always goes on easier than it comes off, as just using the weight loss as the example. So that safe space to be able to go back and almost dissect, okay, but why did you have the ice cream? And it's okay if you had a cup. It's okay if you went with your friends and you had a scoop of ice cream. And that's a lot better than sitting there with a half a gallon in your lap alone, right? So that was kind of for me, that the fail safe, or like the falling forward.
Yeah.
That was what that was for me, because I needed that cheerleader. I didn't need the whole,
Yeah.
oh, you're gonna die at 50, this will happen, and then nobody's ever gonna choose you because you're not pretty. None of that helped. I think the intention was there to help, but that was not that just like it piled on. That's how. Okay,
I know it's like anxiety, please. It's like negative reinforcement, somebody said the other day. And I'm like, I think when I was younger, maybe I thought that was like good. And I'm like, no, that brings on more anxiety. And like, I love looking at like what's happening out here with the shaming and the blaming. That's a shame way to be talking to somebody.
Yeah.
And I like that you're talking about, okay, so you had a scoop or a cup, whatever, with your friends. Okay, let's talk about the half gallon that you just did, because that's where the emotion of the stuff comes. Like they'll say, oh, I just wanted it because it was like whatever. And you go, okay, well, then that's where your conversation starts, I bet. Because that's where the emotion, the breakthrough of like, well, no, we're coaching now. So let's be straight up. Let's just have conversation.
The half gallon.
Hey, the half gallon, that's a good title for something.
It is.
That's Melissa Tori's story. So Melissa, we're almost at the end here, and I want to. What do you think about if we keep stepping in? I'm gonna take a step back and just look at like this bigger picture because of what you're building and what you're doing out there with your voice. Again, we're about shut down. How can we open people's voices up? If we could get more away from the robotic kind of way of life and thinking we have to look strong, the exterior has to be something, and that if we follow the rules, then that's good. But shame on you for having an emotional moment.
Mhm.
But being able to open up and start expressing yourself and having an emotional moment saying, hello, I'm human. I'm not going to be robotic anymore. This is the way I'm going to show up. You're going to love me for this because you're going to love more of what comes out of me. Can you keep following that conversation of like what you do with your clients and what you think in this world? If we are going that route with what you're doing and your type of work you're doing, how could this change, the trajectory in this world and how we show up and what we do, like in our health and wellness and how that tethers on everything?
When we feel our best, and by feeling our best, I don't mean running a race and I'm all pumped up, or when we feel our best, and when we learn to love ourselves, everything opens up, and it no longer becomes about ourselves or about our pain. We are able to observe our pain differently as we're healing, but we're able to we for me, for my clients, that helps them to shine outwardly. it takes the negativity when you look at something, because everything is a mirror. Like the way you perceive a certain thing, you're projecting what you see back at you. So if it's jealousy, or if it's anger, or if it's snippy snipies, whatever it might be, it's just the state where you're at. So when your state is a state of love and peace and calm and light and sparkle, that goes outward and it creates a ripple effect. I think we've all seen that meme where it's like, look what happens. And then the one yellow guy walks up, and it's like a drawing. The one yellow guy walks up, and then 3 yellow people, then 6 yellow people, then 12 yellow people. It's absolutely true. And I know it firsthand, again, because I've walked that journey. I think you have as well. But everything changes. And the way that you can lift other people up, it's as simple as, like, honestly, this is going to sound silly. I say good morning to, whenever we're walking our dog. It's a mile at least twice a day. I say good morning to every person I encounter. How you doing? How's it going? Always strike up a conversation. A decade ago, I wouldn't have done that. I would have had my head down, like, oh, they're judging me. They're thinking this, they're thinking that, because I was thinking of myself. But even the same people who, I've kind of broken down some people who didn't want those good mornings, because now they'll see me and they'll go, hi, how are you? It makes a difference. And I feel like with our world and everything, just the state of it right now, personally, if we all can smile a little more, say hello a little more, be compassionate and kind, and understand everyone has a story. Everyone is carrying something, whether they don't realize it yet, they're healing through it, they're not quite there, and just give the same love and compassion and grace that you want and you seek. Yeah. Push it outward, and it comes back tenfold. It's not about it coming back, but it actually does. And then when it comes back tenfold, you push it out 100-fold.
Yeah, it keeps growing, because
we come back, right?
Yeah, we limit ourselves because we think, well, if I give some, that's like a deficit. But oh my gosh, like it will if you really are in alignment, huh? And you believe it. And then because we can only see what we can build right here and now, but it becomes more massive than you would ever imagine if you keep going that route. Oh, I love that. Oh gosh, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun. I love this talk.
I would love, thank you. Well, you talked a lot about opening the voice. I mean, that's hard. That's like, I used to want to be against a wall and hopefully nobody looked at me. Like, I think there's so many people that deal with that. And sometimes even if I dressed up, I would shame myself because I thought that I wasn't supposed to look that good or be noticed. And then if I was an ego, it could be a big flip, because when you're robotic, it's either you're in your shame, or if you do get attention, then it flips it the other way, and then you don't know how to act, and then you look like you're all into yourself, and then you get shamed later because you're like, I can't believe I acted like that. You know what I mean? Like there's this whole thing. And so what you're doing is you're unraveling the spirit that's just so bound by so many experiences, that once you start opening everything up, you realize that everybody is special and that you get to be. And if you take care of yourself first, that's like you're just taking care of everybody, because you get to not hear those voices of the shaming as you're trying to help somebody. You have the stuff going on in your head, and you're pushing yourself down as you're helping somebody. And so what you're doing is you're changing people's life. And I appreciate the work you're doing. It's really hard work, and it's hard to find the people that are really excited about it. But I'm glad you're going to be speaking more and more out there, because people are going to be leaning in. It's easier to find those people when you get out and you speak, and people want, they want that mindset transformation entertainment, that trademark I do, and however else anybody else says it. But I know that when I would watch Green Acres and I Dream a Genie and like all these things, that I just felt safe. I felt like, how can I find a safety in my day-to-day? I can't even see myself even going to school. And then I would watch that, and all of a sudden I just lift up, and it was just like this dream world, and it kept me safe. But the dream world really is the real world. All that other anchoring of yuckiness was somebody else's people's stuff that, we're born in or we're around. And it's okay, because if we can clear that, it's okay. We need to clear that so that we can make this earth cleaner and more beautiful with us, everybody that's out there trying to have this good human experience.
You're right. Generational cycles are so real. Our parents were not anyone's parents, grandparents. None of them were aware of what they were inadvertently passing down. Everyone was doing the best that they could, and
Exactly.
breaking those cycles. And
Yeah.
I like to say, we all cave into some societal norms. We get to determine our own societal norm. It's how we decide to show up for that every day. So as you said in the beginning about the sparkle, don't dim your sparkle. Don't shrink yourself to fit into someone else's room. Don't do it.
Mm. There we go, Melissa. That was perfect. All right, Fresh Talks Global Vision. We did it because this is really good. Make sure you rewatch again because I think you can take some notes and just discover because you may have gotten some ahas, but what's going to happen is you're going to walk away from this and feel good, and then you're going to have the regular day just kind of coming at you. Listen to it again, take some notes, add some of these things into just like maybe some phrases that really meant something. Fail safe actually is one of my pillars, and up above, it's my third pillar, and it's called superstar status. So when you said, Melissa, fail safe, I'm like, hello, like, yeah. Anyway,
Amazing.
it is
Aligned.
alignment,
Aligned.
alignment, alignment.
Alignment.
So if you're listening to this, it's alignment for you. So make sure that you keep staying with us. Melissa, where should we have people come hang out with you? Want to give me some social media?
I am on all
Information?
socials. I am on all socials at Melissa Tori, and
Okay,
my website is melissatori.com. And I would love to connect with people. And
that's easy. All right, my friend. Have an insightful day, everyone. Appreciate you and catch up with you real soon. Bye bye.
bye.